Welcome to the How of Business with your host, Henry Lopez, the podcast that helps you start, run, and grow your small business. And now, here is your host.
Welcome to the How of Business. This is Henry Lopez. And on this episode, my co-host David Begin and I are going to discuss the importance and how to address root cause problems rather than just fixing symptoms. And why is this crucial for the long-term success and sustainability of your small business? It's about the difference between just fixing the symptoms versus identifying the true root causes and solving those root causes to finally solve a problem that might be persisting in your business. This episode is a re-release of the original episode 200. I've added some additional content here at the start and also have done some editing, but it's one of my favorite episodes and on a very important topic, I think, because we're all challenged as small business owners with really solving problems on a daily basis and understanding and needing to understand how to really solve the real problem and not just the symptoms of a problem in our business. To get more information about the How of Business, including the show notes page for this episode, and to learn more about my one-on-one and group coaching programs, please visit thehowofbusiness.com. I also encourage you, wherever you might be listening to this episode, to please subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. So I want to share with you 5 tips that I have found to be really effective to helping us as business owners focus on solving root cause problems and not just symptoms. Number 1 is embracing a problem-solving mindset and culture. Now, the mindset, of course, starts with you as the business owner, your leadership team, but over time, if you take this approach, ideally what you develop is a culture within your organization that strives on, that focuses on trying to solve root cause problems and not just the easy fix of addressing symptoms. I encourage you to educate yourself and your team on systems thinking. In other words, encourage a shift from linear thinking, ABC, to systems thinking. How are things interchangeable? How are things integrated? How are things interdependent? So it involves understanding how different parts of your business are interconnected and how they affect each other. One thing that I do here, is it going to impact, or how does it impact something else within my system? So by seeing the business as a series of systems, interdependent systems, then you as the owner and your team members can better identify root causes of problems instead of just addressing the symptom. When we look at one thing that has happened, if we look at the entire system, we're better able to identify what might be the root cause or root causes of that problem. And then, of course, as in any environment that's healthy, I think you got to promote continuous learning. Continue as the leader of your business to foster continuous improvement and learning. Encourage your employees and your team leaders, your management, to always ask why when problems occur. And then push deeper to those underlying causes. Ask those 5 layers of whys. And that you will find that approach, that culture, will lead again to more problem solving, root cause problem solving, as opposed to just dealing with symptoms and then having those issues come up again and again and again. Number 2 is utilize, as I just mentioned, root cause analysis tools. So the 5 whys, I just mentioned the 5 whys. This is a technique, it's been around for some time now. It's simple, yet a very effective technique where you ask why multiple times, typically up to 5 times or so. It just depends on the depth of the problem until you get to that root cause of the problem. And it's hard to determine exactly how do you know when you're at the root cause, but I think that in most cases, what I've found is you'll know that you'll have that aha moment, or your team will, that, okay, this is probably the root cause problem. It's certainly deeper if you get to that point than where you started, which is at the symptoms layer or the end results of that root cause problem. So it's a pretty straightforward method that can be used without any kind of specialized training. Everybody can learn how to do this. Again, it's a matter of instilling this in your team and then creating a culture around it. We always ask why. If this particular component or equipment or whatever it is continuously having problems, Instead of just saying, well, let's fix it, let's just fix it. Why is it continuing to have problems? Well, it's because the supply to it or the connection to it is faulty. Okay, why is that faulty? So you continue to ask why questions within reason, right? A fixing something in an organization, you don't always have the luxury of spending a lot of time on it. So that's often why we end up just addressing symptoms. But where possible and where it makes sense, especially if it's something that's occurring on a regular basis or it's an expensive thing, an expensive maintenance item, for example, it's well worth applying the 5 whys technique. Number 3, collect and analyze data. So gather comprehensive data, and this collection of data is what's going to help you identify, is there really a trend? Is there something bigger going on here? So use those data analysis techniques to gather information and be able to track, and over time, you might well identify a root cause problem. In this episode that'll follow here, you'll hear me and David share a couple of different examples of how we've used this approach of gathering data to help us analyze a root cause problem or identify a root cause problem. Number 4 is implement preventative measures. So especially if you have an environment where you have maintenance of some sort, equipment of some sort, a fleet, tools that are expensive, machinery, those type of environments in particular, develop a preventative maintenance strategy. Once that root cause is identified, work then on identifying strategies to prevent the issue from occurring again. And this might involve a process change. It might involve additional employee training or new policies, but that's part of that developing preventative measures. And then item number 5, or tip number 5, is to foster open communication and collaboration in your work environment. So encourage that team involvement in the problem-solving technique and using the 5 whys, and encourage them not just on speed of fixing a problem, that'll end up being just fixing a symptom, but that people take time, especially in those critical areas, to try to identify the root cause. Now, it could be that it's something that's mission critical. We've got to get this piece of machinery back up and running as quickly as possible. And so in those scenarios, I understand you're going to fix the symptom. You're going to get things back operational. But perhaps your process then is to analyze that and then do the root cause analysis to see how we can't avoid or fix something deeper that's leading to that malfunction on a regular basis. Part of step 5 is to create a blame-free environment as much as possible. So ensure that the focus is on solving the problem, not on assigning blame as to whose fault is it that this keeps breaking or that we keep having this maintenance issue. A blame-free environment encourages more open and honest communication, which is crucial for identifying and addressing root causes. Also, be careful what motivation or incentive you're creating through compensation or other rewards. Going back to the point of speed, if all you're focused on and all you're compensating, incentivizing, or motivating your team to do is to quickly get things back operational, and that is important, I get it, especially in certain environments, but be careful that that then doesn't reward or encourage a behavior where it's all about symptom solving and no root cause analysis or solving. So by focusing on these strategies, these 5 strategies or tips, as a small business owner, you can more effectively solve the underlying issues affecting your business. And that, of course, leads to a more sustainable and profitable opportunity to grow your small business.